Good morning. This is Susan, and my channel is Susan's Rambling. I am continuing with the bread recipes today. One of the favorite recipes that we have that I use are the corn tortillas. It's a very easy recipe to use. In fact, all the tortillas are easy recipes. You just use 2 or 3 ingredients and you mix it all together. You roll it out and you got your tortillas. Um, like I said, it's a very, very simple recipe. It doesn't take much to do it, and it tastes better if it's homemade. Here's a corn tortillas, which use a cup of corn flour, and it's flour, not cornmeal. Salt and water, and that's all you need for it. And I gave this recipe. Somebody on one of the videos asked for homemade corn tortilla, and I told them just to go to the package of corn flour, and they came back and they said, "But I want a recipe. I don't want something off a package." And I thought, well, okay, I'm not going to go any further on that one. But anyway, if you look up your recipes, or a lot of your recipes, they will tell you to go to the back of the corn flour and check out your measurements if you want more. But I didn't go any further with that one. I thought, okay, she can do whatever she wants. She doesn't want, if she doesn't want it, she doesn't need it. I don't have to give it to her. Anyway, this is a very, very easy one. You just put them all together, and they cook within 30 or 40 seconds of each other, on each side. So, I mean, you can't make it much faster than that. Oh, and like I said, homemade is a lot better than the ones you buy in the store. Now, moving on to a flour tortillas. You have to use a little bit more, but not really. It's got 2 cups of white flour, baking powder, and then salt. But if you use 2 cups of self-rising flour, you don't need your baking powder and you don't need your salt. So just remember that. If you have self-rising flour, you won't need that. But in our case, when we're running against shortages, we probably won't have self-rising bread at flour, and we will just have the white flour, so then we would have to add the baking soda and salt. Then you add melted butter, and then again you add warm water. And it's very, very simple. This one you have to let rest for about 30 minutes before you can actually make the balls and roll it out. And that's just simply to let the dough relax a little bit, and it works better. So these again, you only have to grill for a few minutes, a few seconds, until they got little brown spots. And of course, in both of these recipes, if you want larger tortillas, make bigger balls. Don't use the 2-inch balls. Those are the flour ones. Each of those recipes will make about 8 of them. That's about all I need, or that's plenty for me. If you have a bigger family or you need more, then just double the recipe. Okay, next one we'll move into is Foodie Bread. I don't know about you, but I like bread, but I don't like to stand there and knead it and all this kind of stuff and wait for 4 hours or 5 hours until I actually have a loaf of bread. So this one is a speedy, they call a speedy bread. You have your water and your yeast and so forth. You put it in a bowl, and after you get it mixed up, you just put it in a bowl and you let it rise for about 10 minutes. 20 minutes, I guess, and punch down, and you form into your roll, and then you let it rise for another 40 minutes, and you bake for about 30 minutes. Anyway, it only takes, I suppose, about 2 hours from the time you start until the time you finish. And that's a speedy bread. Of course, I let the mixer I used a KitchenAid, my KitchenAid mixer, and I let that do all my kneading. And I kneaded, I think, for 7 or 8 hours, 7 or 8 minutes until it's well kneaded and it forms a ball. Then I go that way. But it's also a very speedy, very good recipe that I use quite frequently. And like I said, I like the speedy ones because I'm like most people. I don't have the time to waste on waiting 3 or 4 hours for a bread recipe, although I will at times. But most of the time, I use the speedy breads or the speedy buttons that I have. Okay, next one is Jarn Cake. We all know Jarn Cake. This is where we're using cornmeal instead of the corn flour. And it's an old recipe, very old recipe, that came from one of my cookbooks. And I think the cookbook was I've been using it for years, and I think the cookbook is one that was 1970s. But anyway, it's a very, very simple recipe. The thing I like best is we like Jarn Cake. In fact, I will eat it even when it's cold, and I like it when it's cold. So use your soup or your honey and butter, and you've got a full meal. Eat it with your cornbread, with your beans or chili. Chili a lot of times is what we use it for when we use it. So it's just sour milk. But to get your sour milk, all you do is take your milk and add a little bit of vinegar or lemon juice, and you've got your sour milk. Okay? This is another very, very easy one to do. If you need more corn flour, add it. You have one kind of a cake recipe. A cake batter is what I'm trying to say. So that's what you use there. The next recipe I have is the same thing, except it's Skillet cornbread, and it's a 1860 recipe, and it came in one of my books. Books. Okay. Yeah. Done. Since 1860. You use cornmeal here again, and you use sour cream. But if you don't have a sour cream, you mix sour milk and a tablespoon of melted shortening, and you will have your sour cream. Okay? Very simple recipe again. Very easy to do. And this one you put in a cast iron skillet and bake it. But it's also one that's a very easy recipe, very simple recipe. And if you have your cornmeal, as most of us, I hope most of us have, in our pantries, we should be able to have some kind of bread in the bread, even if we don't have bread. Okay? Next one I've got, and the last one for today, is cheese biscuits. This one says, you got your biscuits. Your regular baking powder biscuit is what you've got. But they added cheese to it. It says grated cheese or an equal amount of cheese whiz, but I'm thinking that we can use the cheese powder that we have. Maybe not 3/4 of a cup of cheese powder, but then again, I didn't check my measurements on my cheese powder before I started this. But I would think that you'd be able to use that. Cheese whiz, I think, is kind of hard to find nowadays. Although you can make your own with American cheese and with milk. So that's all you do there. Another cheese biscuit, that's just plain, like I said, baking powder biscuit with cheese added to it. So I hope you enjoy these recipes. I have several more recipes, bread recipes, that I'm going to share with you in the next few days. And I even have what's called an oopsie bread recipe. And that is a no gluten recipe. And I use it several times here when I serve my meals, just simply because I've got some that some residents or some neighbors and friends that can't have the gluten. So this is it for today. It's Susan. Have a good day. God bless you, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.